Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FTS podcast, Friends Talking Shop. This is a podcast, but it's a disaster, is really what it is. We have our regular hosts are here, but not all of us are prepared for this podcast. But we're going to go through it anyway because it has taken us a long time to get to episode 11. We got to 10 with great speed, and then we hit just a complete roadblock getting to 11. But we're here.
Tell them why. Tell them why, Dave. What happened? We had a whole host of problems.
We have had hosts. Well, let's first introduce who we are. I'm your host, Dave, and I'm probably one of the biggest reasons that we have delayed. Joining me this podcast, I'm not alone, but I may be the biggest. But joining me this podcast is Josh. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be back on the air.
Good deal. And in his car, driving somewhere in Puerto Rico, is our third host, Omar. Omar, how are you doing this evening?
I am in a rush to get back home, but I'm very happy. I feel blessed to have you each in my life.
You know, Omar. Not that I want this, but it would make for good ratings if you got into an accident in the middle of the podcast. I don't want you to. I don't want you hurt at all, but it would be. If we just got like a screeching tires or something like that, even like a blown windshield. Blown windshield would be. Fender bender's kind of boring.
Well, you know how painters their paintings are more famous after they die.
Yes.
Imagine the podcast if in the middle of this podcast, I mean, our listeners would go way up that an actual car accident and a ball of flame happened.
What's that word? What's that word? Macabre.
No, not macabre. Are you talking about
macabre?
Macabre.
No.
Macabre means like very dark.
Yeah.
It
is macabre.
Macabre.
You spelled it right.
Macabre?
You're saying it right. It's macabre. Yeah. The R's are silent. Anyway, so we're all here. We're all ready to go with episode 11. Let me just pause and just I'll apologize first because I think I was the first person to delay this podcast. I went to New York. I actually saw Omar in person, and we had a great time. Spent some quality Sunday time with Omar. Sat next to Daniel Levy for breakfast, which was pretty cool. You know who Daniel Levy is, Josh?
You're calling him out on this podcast?
Who, Daniel Levy?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a listener. He'll love hearing his name.
He was the dad in American Pie.
Did he grow up?
No, it's Eugene.
Did he grow up in Maryland?
What was that, Omar?
Did he grow up in Maryland?
Did he grow up in Maryland?
I don't know. I just know he sat next to us in breakfast.
Does he have curly hair?
What is it? 20 questions?
You sat right next to him. You know.
I played competitive ping pong in middle school. And one of my arch nemesis was a guy named Danny Levy. Maybe it's the same guy.
No, it's a very common name.
Yeah, this is the son on Schitt's Creek. Yes, who I was actually pretty starstruck. Josh, let me tell you to set up the scene. So we were sitting.
It's his kid.
Yeah, it's David. You know David.
Yes. Oh, yes. So cool. That's very cool.
He was a host on Saturday Night Live. He sat.
Yes, he was.
Just we're in a patio at this hotel. And so let me just tell you exactly how Omar lives, as you know. So we get to a very nice hotel. It's quite the scene, I think, in the hotel and at this patio at breakfast. Omar allows his dog to roam around the patio willy-nilly, right?
It's wait, hold on a second. It's an enclosed patio, and I think we can say the hotel. It's the Greenwich Hotel.
Yeah.
And it's a service dog. Yeah.
He is a service dog.
He's a service dog. What'd I say?
Yeah, Miles.
Oh, sorry. Miles is a service dog.
We did have one incident where a family came in and a 3-year-old who is deathly afraid of dogs. The mom said, this is going to be a problem. My daughter is afraid of DOGSs. And I realized, oh no, what are we going to do? I think that raised Omar's concern from like a 0.5 to a 0.6 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Were they not concerned about Omar's emotional health and the service dog needs that he has?
It didn't seem to come up.
He reminds me to take my medication. Not an emotional support dog. He's a service dog.
Right.
So anyway, well, they leave because there's no discipline for the dog. So then we leave and we go for a walk and we visit some people and we come back to the hotel and we just crash. And now the patio is completely empty and it's just Daniel Levy and his friend sitting next to him talking. So the other places. So Omar proceeds to go sit at the table right next to them. And it's a completely empty rest. And I was so nervous because I thought we're gonna bother them. And I tried to play my cool. I didn't want to make it seem like I was listening.
Why wouldn't you go and say hi? That's a perfect opportunity. It's like when they're in a restaurant, you don't want to bother them because they're eating, they're with their family, they're whatever. This is just in a patio. This is actually preferred.
Yeah, I will say though, I'm actually very good about that, like judging, like if you will, the approach, the difficulty of the approach shot, if you will. And he was not at all receptive. I saw him for a few days, and that place is as much my home as it is his. So I wanted the best table, which is that corner table, David. That's why I picked it.
Is it? I didn't ask you why. I just thought, oh no, we're going right next to them, and it was a quiet, patio type of situation. So it was cool though.
Did you talk to him?
No.
Why not?
Scared.
I wasn't open to it, Josh.
I would have done.
His energy was not really warm.
His energy.
Yeah. I was scared by fame.
Eye contact.
Did he look upset?
Did he look at Miles? He didn't smile at Miles at all, which is always fucking weird. Whenever someone sees Miles and doesn't like smile, get any affection, to me it's like how can you not at least smile when you see that?
Maybe he doesn't like dogs. Maybe he doesn't like dogs.
People who don't like dogs still smile too. Miles is like, at any rate.
Yeah.
I'll pass on him, and I'll definitely pass on that show. I
don't
understand that fucking show.
I tell you what I'm not going to pass on is the comment of you played competitive ping pong in middle school. We just glossed right over that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was ranked in the country. You know this.
Yeah, in middle school?
Everyone knows this. Yeah, under 13.
Was that the pinnacle of your athleticism? It was 13?
And what's the association that does these rankings for middle school ping pong players?
Yeah, it's called the Pedophiles of America.
No, it's not. It's called the UST.
PP.
Conveniently broke up.
Yeah. Well, let me finish my story. So I was in New York. I came home and got COVID. So it was my first bout of COVID. Thank you very much. I lasted 2 years, didn't get it. Got it at home and proceeded to not leave the bed for 7 days or so. All these mild symptoms I can shoot all those things into the sun. For me, it was an awful experience, and I was out for a week, so I had to cancel the first round. But then our other cancellations was not my fault. Josh, do you have any culpability on these cancellations?
I had partial culpability because I left for a trip, and I was flying Sunday when we were going to do it on Sunday. And so that was my only time. But that's only because it was canceled on the Saturday before by Omar.
Yes. So he has canceled a few times. We finally got it to go today, and we find out that not only is he in his car driving, so his reception is terrible. So please don't email us with complaints. This is actually, if you want to email, we'll just give you
please do. Actually,
please
do. We welcome all emails, complaints, everything, bomb threats, death threats. Send it all.
So what's
that saying? Making a molehill out of a mountain or whatever.
Making a mountain out of a molehill.
That's what you guys are doing right now.
What do we do? What do you mean? Yeah. What are we doing? There's listeners very confused with your audio right now. Very confused.
We just have to set the stage.
Is it not any better?
It's better actually.
All right.
Yeah.
So and Omar now has a date in 25 minutes. Is that right? That's the other.
Which he sprung on us.
Someone he met.
You see where he puts the priority of this podcast.
It's a woman he met in middle school. She had a great topspin. So,
Omar, I'd like you to apologize to all the fans first before we move on, because this is really just it's disrespectful. I'm just gonna say it. It's just disrespectful.
I apologize to all the fans, and I also apologize for the next hour of the content.
Exactly.
What an
Well,
appropriate apology that was. Broken up,
yeah,
where we got bits and pieces of it that epitomized
that is.
your respect for this podcast. All right.
Well, let's kick this thing off. Are you ready to kick this off?
Let's do it.
Omar, you just cut in and out whenever you feel like it. So on our podcast, Friends Talking Shop, three of us get together and we come up with a topic, each of us, something that we have not talked to each other ahead of time, and we discuss it and solve it in about usually 15, 20 minutes, but now with Omar's date, we'll have to do it in like 5 to 10 minutes. So
right.
that's how we're rolling today. Just so I mentioned that we do have an email address, and it is friends@fts.media. Strangest email ever, friends@fts.media. And we're sponsored by Bumbu Rum. I think we're just going to announce Bumbu Rum is our sponsor until they actually become our sponsor. Yeah, we have a good insight.
We'll guilt them into it.
That's right. All right, well, let's kick this off. I think we've Josh, we did get an email. Do you want to save that for the end?
Let's save that for the end. Let's save that for the end. It's exciting, our first email. So that's it is. We'll tease the audience a little bit, so you hang on to see what our listener has to say.
That's what we call it.
I like it
in the business. Okay, well, Omar, we won't have you go first since your audio is terrible. Josh, you want to go first this week?
Yeah, sure. So you mentioned you had COVID, and at the same time, I was actually sick and thought I had COVID. Turns out I didn't, but it was not pleasant. But I was still ready to go for the podcast. But anyway, that's a different topic. But while I was sick that day, I actually was watching the what do they call it? Marathon. That's what they call it. A marathon of all the Spider-Man movies, from Tobey Maguire all the way that we're on. And I just want to talk about, my topic is about one of them, because it just hit me when I was watching. By the way, I love these movies. I don't know if you guys like the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, yeah. Love them.
Yeah.
Some more than others. I thought Spider-Man 2, the original, was the best.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, we can get into that later.
Okay.
But I'm gonna focus on one of them because I was disturbed by something in there, and I never really noticed it. It didn't hit me. I noticed it, but it didn't hit me like it did when I was.
I hope it's not. It's not. I never liked the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I like Andrew Garfield very much, but I just don't like him as Spider-Man.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. So it is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
The Andrew Garfield problem.
It's the first one, but it's not. But the problem is not Andrew Garfield. Okay, I know the problem for you is Andrew Garfield. I actually kind of like him. I think he's a good Spider-Man, but he's a little too smooth and cool to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man's supposed to be a dorky guy.
Right.
That Peter Parker's not a good-looking kid like Andrew Garfield. It's a little ridiculous. But anyway, it's pretty impressive though that he can.
Do you think he's better looking than Tobey Maguire or Tom Holland?
Well, yeah, I think he's better looking than both of them. But Tom Holland also too good looking to be Peter Parker. But at least you can dork him up in makeup and cut. You can dork him up. And Tobey Maguire, forget it. He's dorky. He's a nerdy guy. Right?
Yeah, I guess when they're all famous, I feel like
he just is.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because you're famous doesn't make you cool.
Really? I think if you put Leo DiCaprio in a meeting without makeup, but just as a normal, he walks in, he's just a guy in a meeting and just sitting there, normal clothes, no makeup, just regular hair. Would he be like, wow, that guy is movie star material? Like I get.
Hold on a second, Dave. I mean, so Omar, the disrespect continues. He's now gathering shit in his car, making all sorts of loud noises. Go ahead. Do a little staccato feedback here. What was it? You gathering your cassette tapes? Nothing.
Just sit in silence. I'm almost.
You're almost up. Dave, what were you saying? I apologize on behalf of Omar.
If Leo DiCaprio was sitting in a meeting in normal clothes and normal situation, would you point him out and say, that guy is something
He's a good-looking dude.
I think that's true, but I think partially because he's famous.
Okay, this is a whole nother topic.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry.
I mean, look, there's probably a lot of movie magic that goes on that obviously makes all these people look and appear much better than they probably are in real life. So there's definitely something to be said for that.
You think Tom Hanks is handsome?
Yeah, I think vintage Tom Hanks is a good looking dude.
Come on,
he's not
Hanks in a normal situation. I look, I'm not saying he's.
Yeah.
I just think he would be a middle of the road person.
But he's not. Right. He's not exceptional. You don't look at Tom Hanks and think like, boy, that's a really good looking guy. But he's an amazing actor.
Yes, well, that's my point. Is that it's well, I asked you if you.
I see what you're saying. But Andrew Garfield what I'm
nerdy.
saying is right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Garfield's not nerdy, and I think what spurned this was when I said Tobey Maguire is nerdy.
Right.
Which you questioned and said no, he's cool.
Well,
right?
I think they're all cool because if you throw them on a screen in front of me, I think, well, they must be good looking guys. Like.
But do you see him like when you loved him as the best Spider-Man, right? That's what you said.
Tobey Maguire. I like those movies the best. Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at him when he plays Peter Parker in the first one, don't you think he looks dorky? I mean, he's supposed to. He's supposed to be like an uncool high school kid who's kind of like anyway.
Yeah.
So Andrew Garfield is not that. So as great a job as I think he did playing the role, he's miscast because he's not Peter Parker. He just doesn't look like Peter Parker. Anyway.
Okay. All right.
But here's my problem with the movie. So for those who haven't seen it, Andrew Garfield plays Spider-Man, and then there's a doctor at Oscorp, which is the big, scientific corporation in the city. And one of the doctors who's doing experiments, jeez, Omar. I mean, it's really.
Are you now cleaning out your closet?
I don't know if he's breaking glass, or I don't know if he. Are you going through like a jungle gym? Is that on the way to the house?
Lincoln
Logs?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, did you say Lincoln Logs
home.
independently?
I'm almost home.
Did you say Lincoln Logs?
I did. I said Lincoln Logs.
Oh, that's
right
weird.
Before you. They'll go to the tape.
Oh,
I think I
weird.
won the Lincoln Logs. That is weird.
You might have. You might have subconsciously put Lincoln Logs into my.
We'll have to go back and play that back.
Right.
Anyway, it's Omar's fault. Go ahead.
Anyway. So this doctor experiments and then turns himself into a lizard, and then Spider-Man obviously has to defeat this lizard. That's the whole thing. But his love interest is this girl Gwen. Okay?
Right.
And Gwen is played by Emma Stone, I think. Is that right? I think it's Emma Stone.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. But Gwen is an intern, because she's an honor student, is an intern at Oscorp, where this doctor is. So first, that's my first problem right there. A high school intern at
at a big science company.
At a big science, all right, whatever, maybe. Okay, you're an honor student, you're amazing, you're really smart. Okay, maybe your dad knows someone, your mom knows someone, get you in, fine, whatever. But here's where the story goes a little awry. When is an intern? First, there's a tour of Oscorp. She gives the tour.
Hey, can I time out for a second? Your audio just went weird.
Is it back?
That's back.
That was strange.
Go ahead.
I'll cut that out. She gives the tour at Oscorp.
Right.
Okay, that's weird. They don't have anyone else to give the tour. You're going to let the high school intern give the tour at Oscorp? Okay, I can let that go. Then, when they get into the soup later on, you know where I'm going with this, right, Dave? Do you?
I don't remember
really?
I don't remember those movies. No.
So when Dr. Connors turns himself into that big lizard reptile thing that's terrorizing New York and that Spider-Man has to stop, the way to get him is to get the antidote, okay, for what he did, right? Now, where's the antidote? At Oscorp. So what does Andrew Garfield tell Gwen, the high school intern? Go to Oscorp and get or she said it to him, or it doesn't matter. They agreed she's going to go to Oscorp to get the antidote.
Because her ID gets her into the most.
She has access to Oscorp. She has access to the building. She has access to the lab. She knows the codes. She knows how to make the antidote. I mean, are you kidding me?
She's a superhero.
This is insane. When I remember getting an internship when I was in college, not high school. I was a junior in college. They didn't give me the key to the building. I didn't even have the key to the place. Are you kidding me? I didn't think I even had my own phone. I had a desk and I was filing crap or doing. I mean, this is the height of craziness. There's no way a high school intern has all these access codes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was nuts. Did you remember that? Do you remember that whole
I
thing?
do.
Okay.
I think that happens in movies a lot where, it's yada yada yada, get to this point, and the logic completely doesn't make sense. So
can I though throw in something here?
Suspend disbelief, Josh Kaplan.
Okay,
Suspend
right.
Disbelief.
I knew you were gonna say that. So here's my counter to this. And you said that same thing to me when I brought up Cobra Kai and the waiver and these kids having to sign a waiver, if you remember correctly. I think that was an easy fix for the realism. All you had to do here, all they had to do was, instead of her going in and punching in all the codes or whatever, is her to call someone she knew there and get them to let her in or something like that. Just something to get me over the hump of, there's no way they're giving a high school kid all this access and she knows how to make an antidote. Come on. Well, it's too much. It's too much.
Well, maybe her grades are amazing that they, saw that this is a straight A student. Give her the codes. Give her the codes.
Is that what it is?
Hey, look, maybe, you know what? Maybe it was like an Ivanka Trump situation.
No, see, that's a good point. Her parents did not work for Oscorp. We know her parents. They're shown in the movie, and they're shown in a couple of the movies actually. And they are not part of Oscorp. That I can guarantee.
Do you think maybe the lab in Wuhan had a high school tour director and said, "Do you want to see the inside of the? Let me see that. Like, give it here." And then they break.
So what you're saying?
I think Emma Stone was seen in Wuhan.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there. I thought Dave was going to break the whole COVID thing and think, did anyone think it may be a high school intern that accidentally released the COVID?
Yeah, that's right. If they had, first, high schoolers are irresponsible. You give them all the codes to the inner sanctum of the, yes. Well,
my mind is blown. You know what you did here? You just uncovered something. I think there's a possibility, and it's going to be slim, but I think there's a possibility that someone related to the Wuhan lab in China is a big Spider-Man fan, watched The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and said, in America, they're giving all this access to high school interns. Maybe we should do the same for our high school interns. Did it, major mistake, not as responsible as Gwen.
Right.
And they released the virus, and probably, high school kids, they don't admit to anything. Right. They probably tried to cover it up and ran out, and that's it. So there you go. Anyone looking into this?
Well, now that it's out in the public with our podcast,
yes,
it could, if it starts someplace else, we'll know, or we hear it someplace else, we'll know it started here.
Is anyone even questioning the interns at the Wuhan? They probably are skipping right over the interns because they're not that important. They're going right to the scientists. Big mistake.
You remind me, I had an intern in college too. I worked for GI Case Tractor Company. It's headquartered. No, I kid you not. One of the big projects I had was to do a market research study on the paint quality of our tractors. I called a bunch of farmers and asked them questions about the paint quality of their tractors. I kid you not. But I remember when I was my exit interview for going back to school, they asked me, like, did you enjoy your internship? I said they did, and it was great. And they said, is there anything that you would change? And I remember saying, I wish I had more input on decisions that were being made.
That is such a kid thing to do.
It's
you just think you're so much more important than it's amazing.
It never hit me that it was a dumb question until he looked at me. He said, "You're an intern. Like, what decisions did you want to make?" And I remember thinking, like, you know what? Let me combat that again at a different time. And I sort of ran out of there. And I thought, like, that was a very eye-opening experience of, like, maybe I need to tone my own position down.
We had, in one of the positions I had, we had a woman that we hired for the front desk, and she was, answering phones and she was at the front desk and greeting visitors and things of that nature. And after 10 days, she came to our COO and said, "Why am I not advancing in this company?" After 10 days. Thinking, are you kidding me? Do people that delusional? Yeah, right. No. Are people that delusional? That's crazy.
Well, That's what they say about millennials, which I don't know if that's just what we all say about the next generation. If generation before us said the same
That's
thing.
True.
But look, they probably said it about me. Like, did you imagine what this idiot said at his exit interview?
There's a tractor podcast going on right now. Someone's telling that story.
Yeah, probably.
Then this jackass asked me.
All right. Are you ready for my topic?
Yes.
Omar is.
What is Omar doing? Are you eating chiclets or doing Morse code or what's going on there?
No, I'm listening to you. I think that
I'm hearing noises.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. It's just the noises.
No, I'm
done.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fully. Yeah, I'm good now.
All right. I'll go. My topic. Omar, you're last.
David, you go.
Okay.
I'm last.
My topic is I was watching at the NBA playoffs, and there was a play that I thought was really pretty amazing. It was Giannis, who's on my team, the Milwaukee Bucks. He was driving toward the basket, stopped his dribble, and was still far away from the basket. He throws the ball off the backboard.
Yes,
takes 2 steps, grabs it, and then dunks it.
Yes.
And so somewhat sort of like circumvented taking an extra step by throwing it to himself off the backboard. And I don't know the rules exactly, if like maybe that still is technically a travel, or you can, if it's not, I thought, that's, why don't more people kind of use the backboard as like as a tool to like get around, pick up your dribble and be able to move with the ball. And someone tweeted this and said, I'm surprised players don't do that more often. Someone responded and said, yes, it's similar to a lateral in NFL football, that teams should be running plays where you're lateraling it, like, you get a 10-yard pass and then you lateral it, halfway across the field, all the way across the field, or just behind you, like the hook and ladder. Remember the hook and ladder plays that they would run?
Yes.
That the lateral is like would change the game if people were able to figure out a way to effectively incorporate it into plays, I think. But the idea is people don't probably do that yet because it's nothing unconventional is adopted quickly. And I'll just give you one more example: is going for it on 4th down.
Yes.
Right? There was a time where no one did that.
No
it was
one
like
ever.
4th and inches. Oh, here comes the punt team. Even though the game would be over if you could get an inch. But now people are figuring out that all these statisticians are joining coaching staffs. They're realizing go for it on 4th down is a much better play. So I was thinking, if that's true, at what point are we going to see laterals? When are we going to start seeing players throw basketballs off of backboards more and like making it more unconventional? And I was just fascinated by that.
If I could, I think that, David, as usual, you're unable to think about these things on a higher level.
Yeah.
You're missing some.
I think you're missing something big on this too. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
By the way, makes you a great CIO. But anyway, having said that, like the offenses and defenses have changed tremendously in the NFL over the last 20, 15 years. It's become much more offensive centric. So defensive lines have changed. There's a lot less weight, if you will. Running the ball, it might be easier. Things have changed. And also, and Josh, maybe this was the one you were going to overlap on. This would not work. The reason why it would not work is because Bill Belichick has not done it yet. And if anyone finds out ways to do it and to circumvent the rules, like when he did that stupid tight end thing where like declaring receivers when they beat the Ravens in the playoffs 5 years ago,
yeah,
it was blatant cheating, and like they had to change the rules because of it, because he found something in the rule book that like enabled them to do it. And if there was a way to do it, he would have done it by now.
Did you ever see the there's a Disney movie, and I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it's about a football team. And they discover that they can have either a donkey or a horse kick field goals for them. I think it's called Gus. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I think we all. There's a dog that can play football. I think we've done a whole series of.
Well, Air Bud. Remember Air Bud? That was a dog that could play basketball. And the same thing applies. It's funny you bring up Air Bud, because the same thing applies to Gus and Air Bud, is where they went, well, it's not in the rule book that says a horse can't kick a field goal or can't be on a team. It's so stupid. Yeah. But like, okay. So I'm gonna burst your bubble here. Okay. First, the Giannis play off the backboard's been done before. It's been done multiple times.
Kobe's done it. Jordan's done it.
Kobe's done it. Shaq is most famous for doing it, by the way.
Yeah, but
Shaq has done it. It's
not a regular part of the game, but it's happened before. You're right.
It's not, but you can't do it any other way with the backboard unless it's that play, unless you are stuck and you have to throw it to yourself on the backboard, because you're never going to be able to get it off the backboard to somebody else unless it's a fast break and you're showboating and you get the trailer for a dunk and something like that. But if you're that close to the backboard where you can hit the backboard to keep the play alive or send it to someone else, you might as well just shoot it. That's the other thing. I mean, you're not going to send it off the backboard from 15 feet away. I mean, that would just be so unrealistic and so difficult. I guess you could draw something up to maybe do that.
Well, that's my point. Is you would have plays
I don't know.
that would be designed to either pass it to an opponent. Like if you're being double teamed, because people are used to playing a certain way. If a guy is going up for a shot, you get into rebound position. If you have someone else who knows it's not a shot, it's going to be off the backboard. You have an advantage.
Are we turning into Barstool Sports right now?
No, we're not turning into Barstool.
That might have been who tweeted it.
Listen, here's the problem, though. The problem is the backboard is not as big as you think it is, and you're flirting with offensive goaltending if you're trying to put something off the backboard or close to the backboard where one of your teammates is going to go and get it. And the defense is closer to the rim anyway, so you really it's really got to be something special in order to.
Wait, we have a bigger problem. Okay, I'm a basketball fan and a sports fan, and I have zero interest in this topic. So I can only imagine how our listeners feel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
you have no reason to input on this. You've interrupted the entire podcast.
You've canceled twice.
To poo-poo our.
You were stepping on glass through part of it. Or doing something.
And I didn't bring up your ping pong
logs.
career. Do you think anyone cares about your ping pong career?
No one gives a shit about the ping pong. Especially not middle school ping pong, unless, again, you're a pedophile. Then you're into middle school ping pong.
Well, what about the lateral? I think the lateral in football is I think you – on every offensive play, like you by just going down, I feel like the defenses just are not ready.
It's so risky. It's so risky because of fumbles. It's so risky. I think there's probably something to be said that maybe you can incorporate something in there. But look, just because you can have a mule kick field goals doesn't mean you should.
Well, I feel like it's people don't want to fail unconventionally. Like that's the worst of everything. They'd rather fail conventionally than fail unconventionally or succeed unconventionally. Like the risk is there is a great podcast about Will Chamberlain used to shoot his free throws like granny style.
Underhand.
Right.
Because he was awful at it. He was terrible at free throws. And he was actually much better once he did it underhand.
And did you know the game where he scored over 100 points, he actually shot the ball granny style.
Yes, that's right.
And that was how he got to his 100 points. But he ended up like he'd play and people would make fun of him and tell him like you look ridiculous when you do it. So he went back to shooting the regular way and his percentage went from 80 to 90 down to 50 or whatever because he wasn't willing to be unconventional.
Is that right? I didn't know that part.
Yeah, that's the whole thing of not being able, fearing of being. You'd rather fail conventionally than succeed unconventionally. I just think that it made me think of that topic of. I just thought the lateral in particular. I do think that's an untapped. You don't have to do it on every play, but could there not be a play where you have once in a while where you completely?
It's a good idea.
So
yeah. You're thinking outside the box. I will tell you this, though. I don't know if you've seen Air Bud. I haven't seen it in a while, but I think that dog only scores like 4 points the entire movie.
But
or
do
something
they win?
Like that. They do, but it's not because of Air Bud. It's not because of the dog. The dog is not the mule. The dog does not kick like 80-yard field goals. You're like, that's a game changer. This dog, I think, scores 2 buckets, maybe 2 buckets.
I have a hard time
liability. Big liability on defense.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Could Air Bud, wasn't he really good on defense? Like, didn't he cover Teen Wolf?
No, I just told you. Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf was so different. He was much better on defense. But I have a hard time believing you made a movie of a dog that played basketball that only scored 4 points.
I'm going to go back and look. I haven't seen it in a while, but from what I remember, that dog barely scores. And in fact, I remember seeing it and thinking that to myself, like, I don't understand this. This dog has only scored 4 points. I mean,
how did he get on the court then?
Well, I don't remember the whole origin story of how they put him on the team, but when he goes into the big game, he scores 4 points.
All right,
4 points. This dog's not lightening up. He's not Jordan. He's not dropping 35 and 10 on the other team.
Yeah.
He scores 4 points.
He's got no thumbs.
He has no opposable thumbs. That's a huge. So it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. You're never going to find a dog to score 4 points.
Yeah.
But let's not make a whole movie out of 4 points.
All right. Well, that's going to be my topic for next week. I'm going to look into the story.
Look into Air Bud.
Behind
Tell
Air
me
Bud.
If I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I owe you a huge apology as well as the fans.
All right. That was my topic. I'll skim right past it since it's not interesting, Omar. I apologize for taking up your precious time that you've taken to separate out for the podcast. Are you ready to go, Omar?
Yes.
All right. Let's hear your
this will be a good
absolutely
one.
Interesting topic. Yeah.
So my topic is this. I have, you guys know this, and this isn't anything pervy, but it's true. I have sometimes dated girls that were younger than me.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're aware.
And one of the things I always refer to Seinfeld a lot on dates.
Yeah. Okay.
And episodes, do you remember? And no one, I'm finding that less and less women even know what Seinfeld even is. So I then started modifying my content to, instead of giving Seinfeld credit, I would just insert my name in the appropriate characters.
In the jokes.
You know,
you've done this on the podcast too. I think you've stolen a joke.
This is like yesterday, where the guy, there's no Beatles, yet he knows all the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
And he's a genius. You're that guy.
So I had this brilliant idea, which was, I have an idea for Larry David, who co-wrote Seinfeld, has his own show on HBO called Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I have the perfect idea for an episode. And I wanted to tell you guys the idea.
Please.
And the idea is this. It's basically a derivative of this, of what I said to you. Larry's favorite niece, who lives in New York, says, Uncle Larry, I met the love of my life. I'm going to marry him. He reminds me so much of you. You're going to love him. He's so amazing. Uncle Larry is in New York for whatever reason. He has dinner party with like the niece and her fiance or whatever, and these other people. And then his favorite niece goes, let's say his fiance's name is like, I don't know, Josh. Josh, tell Uncle Larry that crazy story that happened to you last few weeks ago. And Josh demurs, and tell him. And so he goes into a story, and it's literally an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen, I saw this coming a mile away. Well, yeah, she's Larry David's niece. You don't think she's seen Seinfeld?
No,
she's Larry David's niece. Of course she has. You have such a big hole in this. Now, I liked where you were going.
I do too. I think there's
with a different person. You can do it with a different person. But it can't be Larry David's niece because she's more likely than not to have seen every Seinfeld episode and then some.
And how are you going to stretch a TV series out of that? Is it going to be?
Well, he's doing one episode.
He goes back to dinner with Larry David.
He's talking one episode.
Listen. I mean, come on, guys. I don't think it's that crazy that his niece doesn't know. She's very, very young. Has watched the show. I mean, David, have any of your kids listened to any of your podcasts ever?
Yes.
No, I don't think they've ever listened to it. No, the idea is there of if you had a series about a guy who is dating younger women and he's taking not from just Seinfeld, all kinds of like
everything.
It's the Soup Nazi episode where he takes the joke and they think they're brilliant. It's stand up from Richard Pryor. So it's that there could be something there.
It's yesterday, but with comedy.
Yeah, without the mysticism of the Beatles.
That's what it is. It's that guy. No one's ever heard of the Beatles, and he's got all the songs, and everyone thinks he's brilliant.
How does Larry handle it? And it can go in a variety of ways.
Well, it could be Larry learns of this through some, but it can't be his niece. I like where you're going. I do. I agree with Dave. There's something there, but it can't be his niece. But that's actually a good premise. That's actually fun. You know what it's like? It's like that old joke where I'm trying to remember what movie it was. Oh God, it's killing me. But whatever. He asks them their story, and they start telling a story, but it's not the story. It's a story of like Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, right.
Like I was on this boat and I got stranded. There's a professor, and they never saw Gilligan's Island, so it's hilarious to the audience that this guy is not in the know on that he's making up this bullshit story. So that's what it's like, just extrapolated through all the episodes. It's a good idea.
because it's you draw on nostalgia too. Like people like I remember that now. Oh, look how he's incorporating something I remember into his dating experience.
Yes.
So Omar, are you going on a date tonight?
Yes. And
I dare you.
And she is here. Yes, she's younger. She's
is
about.
She within earshot?
No.
I'm trying to think of what episode of Seinfeld I want to dare Omar.
Oh, that he could do tonight. Yeah.
I would. How about man hands? Can you get man hands in there?
No, maybe he's paint your face. You could be the face painter, like Putty.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. I should refer to one of the shows.
Yes, and make it seem like it's your life.
This one's actually a race car driver.
What do you mean a race car driver? She's a race car driver?
Yeah, she works on cars and she races cars.
Wow.
Can you get her on the podcast right now? I've got questions.
Yeah, I've got questions as well.
Well, maybe on a future one, depending on how this goes.
So that's a no. So that won't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's not coming to my place.
How about do the challenge episode? Can you do that one? Why don't you throw that one out
there? The contest?
The contest.
Yeah, tell her you want a contest with your buddies. That'll go over well.
Like
that's a good first date. That's a good first date conversation.
Have you guys had ideas for your own ideas for Seinfeld that you thought would be good?
Oh yeah, I used to think of a ton of them. I can't remember a lot of them, but by the way, that was I went back and thought about that because I just got my daughter into Seinfeld. I'm like, you please just start watching a couple, and I cherry picked a couple. I'm like, watch this one first. Don't start from the beginning, because if you start from the beginning and you're her generation, it's not going to be as funny.
Right.
And she loves it. Smart. Yeah, of course, but she absolutely loves it. She loves the show, and so I think that the younger generations can get into it. I think it still holds up.
What season would you recommend? Starting at season 5?
Look, here's what got her hooked. You have to give her like a quintessential Kramer episode. Where he's doing something goofy and has a harebrained scheme and is doing his mannerisms. You can't start from the beginning where Kramer's a little bit more subdued, where Elaine's not even in it, and you got to start with something that's a little bit more their style, what they're used to. Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. So, I'd have picked George. I would have thought a George episode, him in a dating failure episode.
But it all works now that the door's open. The door is open.
But you think Kramer's the door opener to Seinfeld?
For her, it was. And what I realized, by the way, watching episodes with her now that she's home, I realized that the other big thing is not George. The other big
Newman?
No, not Newman. She does love Newman, but it's George's parents. She loves George's parents, and they're hilarious. I mean, what's not to love? They're hilarious. But that would be the other door opener.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's the way to go.
That's interesting, because Seinfeld, it is surprising how, after The Office, there's so many good comedies that my kids have had that Seinfeld isn't as groundbreaking. And then I was thinking, like, if you go back to Cheers, I think Cheers is even harder because that's like the jokes there aren't as clever. It's more situational.
Yeah, and it's one-liners, and I don't think my daughter would even like it if I showed her.
And let me go back one more generation if you go to MASH, which I think MASH is a great show, right? I think our kids would not relate to MASH whatsoever. No. But it's funny, and it's the laugh tracks and everything. It's like it's such a turnoff, I think, for kids who are used to Arrested Development, which is just like so clever.
Although I will go back further. Can I go back further I'm going to buck that trend, because my son loves, and I showed him the Three Stooges. And he loves the Three Stooges. Well, yeah. And that's way back. That's way back.
That's unique. Yeah. I wonder if you like the Marx Brothers then too. Have you ever seen those movies? Because I
don't even like the Marx Brothers.
Have you seen them though?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think kids would like them. We watched as a kid. I did think they were funny. I mean, they were so talented. They could music, they could dance, they could physical comedy. The stuff they could do back then, what they asked of actors was amazing. But I don't think it translates. You're right.
No, I wasn't even into the Marx Brothers back then, but the Stooges I loved the Stooges. I watched them. It's still hilarious to me.
They do. I saw like 5 minutes. It was a tape. It was at the end of another show that was playing, and it was like, that is funny, but I didn't go back to it. But
and by the way, you're good.
Who's the most groundbreaking? I mean, the Stooges they're all groundbreaking. The Marx Brothers, Charlie Chaplin, Stooges. But I agree. I love the Stooges. I have a soft spot for them too.
Except for the Joe episodes. It's Curly or Shemp, and that's it. The Joe episodes, come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great stuff. That's the evolution of our comedy, probably from Lucille Ball, Three Stooges, all the way up to, I guess, what would be the current really funny show that you're watching right now?
Like a Ted Lasso or something like that,
yeah,
something like that.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb is good. Yeah, that's probably a good one.
Curb, Big Bang Theory, that was a great one that's done.
No.
That was a great show. You didn't like that show?
No.
Did you not like it because of Raj and all the stereotypical Indian stuff?
No, I actually usually embrace that stuff. I don't find the writing to be particularly clever. It's kind of like
what?
It's the same thing as Schitt's Creek. It's not my kind of humor. Sophomore, Jay Leno, flyover states.
I kind of agree with Omar. I feel like any comedy on
crazy.
CBS like repels me. I don't think I've ever seen I've ever laughed at a half-hour CBS show.
Les Moonves.
Wait. Now it's a challenge because I have to think of a CBS. I'm sure I could even name the stations that all these things were on, except for Seinfeld at NBC. That's it. I don't remember what stations any of these shows were on.
I feel like CBS has got a certain style to it. It's either a CSI or a half hour.
That's true.
My parents think are funny. Like I at CBS, I don't think I've ever. I can't think of very many CBS shows in the last 20 years that I found interesting.
I can't remember what was on CBS but you know what's different though these days is you don't have I remember when Seinfeld was on, it was that Thursday night comedy prime time. Like 8 to 10 was just sitcom.
Family Ties was good. Yeah, Cosby.
Was great. You had Cosby on Thursday. You had Night Court. You had Cheers. Those shows were great, and they were. There was.
Are you gonna hear me singing? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a great song, and that's the other thing, by the way, that you don't have anymore. That's a lost art. Is the theme song. The sitcom theme song was the greatest. I loved all the sitcom theme songs of the 80s and 90s, and there's no more of that. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, they're like. Well, you can fast forward through them on Netflix or whatever. You can just skip the intro. So you never listen to them, yeah.
And I loved all those. I still it's embarrassing, but I have a Spotify playlist of 80s TV themes.
All right, that is weird.
Now I don't listen to it often, but when the moment strikes me, yeah, come on, I'll listen to a little Mr. Belvedere. Why not?
That's
Windows up.
The strangest thing I've ever.
Windows up.
Omar, I dare you to play this playlist on your date tonight. While you go through
that's what you do. When you get in the car, I want you to put on the theme song to Full House, and I want to hear her. I want to see her expression.
Okay. I don't care at this point. When you're as old as I am, dates are just simple. They're all social experiments.
There you go.
I want to entertain myself as much as possible.
Do that. I want to see her. I would like to hear about her reaction to when you're playing TV theme songs on your playlist.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Then don't say anything either. By the way, don't pretend like it's normal background music.
Right.
Don't say anything. Don't be like, you like this, or this is good, or sing along.
Just say,
nothing.
Do you watch TV? Just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, we have an email that we wanted to go through before we wrap up the show. So this is a big event. This is our first mailbag. I'll insert some mailbag music here. Unless, Omar, do you have a jingle that you come off the top of your head? No?
Zero.
All right.
Nothing? There you go. Whatever that was. Would you leave, leave the refrigerator? Refrigerator door open? We got our very first email. It comes to us from a Jamie Lipson. And it's not so much a question as a statement here. She writes, You guys need more topics that females can relate to. Right now, the closest thing you have to a female is Omar. So right on point, Jamie. I think that's exactly right. Now, I don't know if what we did today would appeal to a female audience, but that is a point well taken.
Definitely the basketball. Definitely did.
That did enter my mind. I call them as I see them. The topics come to me. But what was interesting when I saw the emails, I thought, okay, let me think of a topic that would be female centric, and then I thought, I can't say.
That's tough. We're males.
Yeah. What?
We're
males, but in the stereotypical things,
hard.
I would think, I don't even say it to be offensive. Of like, what is a female focused topic? What just off the top of your head.
Don't do that to me.
Omar, you say offensive things. What's a female focused topic?
HGTV. I said it.
How dare you?
How
dare you? How dare you? Yeah.
I don't know. There's other things, but I'm not going to say them.
Yeah. So we need. Is it Jamie? We need Jamie to give us.
If she's listening. Listening.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean listening? We got people in Uganda listening.
That's true. How about any female that's out there would like to pose a topic that you would like us to discuss? How about any listener? If you have a topic you'd like us to tackle,
Josh, if you want to send us an email,
I will.
Send an email. Somebody.
I will send you that email. It's the only way you guys listen to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the email. We hope that that will continue because you can see how well we address our email questions. We're at friends@fts.media, and we'd love to hear from you. Omar, do you have anything else to add before? Are you already on your date right now?
That would be amazing.
I'm walking right now, actually.
I mean, this has just been. I mean, what a hodgepodge mess this episode is. It's embarrassing.
Everyone Why am I not giving any credit?
For what? What do you want credit for?
For making this happen. I'm here. I did it. I enjoyed it. I'm trying to do the best I can.
You mailed it in.
And you insulted me on top of it.
I don't know. Let's see what the listeners say.
Oh, I already know what they're going to say.
Well, I think David is the Bobo of our show. I think he.
Dave, you don't like that. You're not going to like that reference. You're not going to like that reference.
Is that another Howard Stern reference?
That's what he's doing. He's referencing Howard Stern, and it's not appropriate, nor is it accurate.
Yeah, that's. I guess this is the final episode of FTS podcast. We'll be launching a new podcast.
Yes, that's right.
With Josh and me called "Everyone Hates Omar." All right. Well, why don't we sign
now,
off?
Omar, we love you, but this one was a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm not thrilled with how this one played out, to be honest with you.
You know what? Sometimes what we think is our worst work may be our best. Let's see what the feedback is.
I mean, what is that? Are you murdering a cat in the background? I don't even understand what the hell's going on back there.
No, a car full of 7 nubile beauties just came out just came out of this car. They're wearing every neon color that exists. Welcome to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Good for you.
Unreal. And on that note.
Yeah, on that note, we'll say goodbye for now. We'll look forward to episode 12. Well, hopefully within the next 10 days or so. But on behalf of Josh, Omar, and Dave, good night, everybody.
See ya.